Yeah, let's do this.
Yay.
Everyone dance! No, don't dance. It's too hot. Screw that.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the week review in Smite Oceania. Hopefully, we're going to come up with a better name for that.
Yeah.
Or you guys
I thought it was this week in Smite. Wasn't that what it was originally called?
It was, but that's kind of
like this week in Smite OCE.
It's kind of different now because it's a podcast now,
Yeah,
rather
that's
than
true.
like
I
a
guess it's
weekly
less
report
newsy.
thing.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Why not call it the Oceanic Smite Slam?
That's cute.
Slam.
Yeah,
Doesn't sound
you know.
cute. Okay.
It doesn't matter. We'll come up with a name. Anyway. Anyway.
TM. Anyway, I am going to be your host, the lovely, the one with the internet that may drop out at any time. Rankonius. Joining me are three lovely guests. Our streamer and idea comer-upper with guy, Josh Campbell, or better known as Knightfall.
Hello there.
Callum TheMachine McCall.
Hi.
He got excited. And finally, rounding it out, some other boring guy known as Topnotch.
Yeah! Salty's cool.
Also, ArchonHawk is playing League of Legends in the background.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
there. Probably.
That game is bad.
Yeah. He's addicted. He's just a little bit addicted. Anyway, so if you guys, you know what? Let's throw some prizes at this. If anyone can come up with a cool name for this podcast, then we're going to throw you some gems. We're not sure how much. We're going to have to scratch around in our pockets. Apparently, Knightfall has $1 New Zealand dollar.
Right there.
So
that is
So that's
yours.
like eight Australian cents.
we'll come up with some form of a prize for the best, and we'll go with that. Well, you have to-
We're actually like streaming now. Already started.
Oh wow, that was awesome.
Join us when you finish.
Keep your eyes out this week for Machine is going to do a TLDR for us on the YouTube channel.
So long as
Maybe.
it's actually content. Like,
As long as
if we spend the whole time talking about patch notes again, then, you know, don't
Well,
expect a lot.
We
We
should
could spend the entire time talking about Nightfall's dollar.
we could
that
do that
could
because
be
there's one for
TLDR.
League of Legends too.
I could make an
TLDR
hour out
patch
of it.
notes.
How much of a sheep can Nightfall's dollar earn?
Oh,
Shots fired.
That was actually good.
Anyway, we're going to get started straight into the new champion for this week. I just said champion again, new god! Damn it, League of
Yeah,
Legends.
you're gonna get railed for that if you keep doing that,
You'll
dude.
get there one day.
New god,
if you're from
Bellona.
Dota, you'd say hero.
I could be your hero. Yeah, baby. Anyways, thoughts on Bellona and her current state. We'll start off with that, and then we might go through a little bit of Kit, or do you want to start with Kit? Who wants to start with Kit?
Let's start with Kit. I want to talk
Let's-
about her 3 because oh my god,
Yep.
what's that?
That
Okay.
thing is really broken right now already. It's not even out yet and it's broken.
Alright, well, upon giving or receiving hits from basic attacks, Bellona gains +5 protection, +6% movement speed for 5 seconds at a maximum 5 stacks. Is her passive, better known as Master of War. Nice little bit of tankiness, boys. Anyone?
I quite like it because it's from giving or receiving. So if you're chasing, then you're 30% faster than the enemy. That's pretty insane. And if they turn to kite, or if an enemy tries to help you like kill that person, kill the Bellona chasing you, then she'll catch up and kill you. So there's not really much you can do, in my
Just
opinion.
run away as quickly as possible.
And hope to God she doesn't kill you. That's my point of view.
Alright, moving right along. Number 1, Shield Bash. Bellona is going to be dashing forward with this move and bashing with her shield. Dealing 80, 120, 160, 200, 240. Obviously increasing per level, plus 40% of her physical power as damage and slowing enemies by 30% for 2 seconds. Bellona is going to just gain 1 stack of the block for each enemy hit. Block absorbs all damage from a single basic attack and reflects 30% of the damage in an area around her. Bellona then makes basic attacks with a sword and shield until out of combat, and every 3 successful basic attacks she gains another stack of block. Cooldown 15 seconds at a mana cost of 60. An interesting sort of gap close move that provides a bunch of tankiness at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen that in game?
I haven't
Topnotch.
actually watched any gameplay of it yet.
No.
She isn't actually out yet, so there isn't
No,
really
no,
much content floating around.
she's
She
on-
is
she's
on
on
PTS.
PTS.
Yeah.
Yeah, PCS.
So
I feel like-
obviously, we should
Sorry.
probably mention that. Yeah, these are PBS notes. So any
PBS.
damage numbers, slow numbers, resistance numbers, anything like that is subsequent to change at any time. Do not take these for gospel until she is actually released.
Sorry, I got a phone call. Moving on.
It's so good.
Rip.
He's going to order a pizza with rip spelt in pepperoni.
I feel like this whole kit kind of reeks of like a physical Athena, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like with the block passive being very similar to Athena's passive. You've got the dash, we're very similar to Athena's passive. It all just reeks of like kind of like a warrior version of Athena doing physical damage, but with a really broken 3 ability that does still.
Well, let's get closer to that 3 ability with number 2, Bludgeon. Bellona summons a hammer and spins, hitting every enemy around her for damage, plus 25% of her physical power at the moment, and then smashing forward an overhand attack, dealing damage. Plus 60% of her physical power as damage. Each enemy god hit in the spin increases the damage of the overhand attack by 30%. Bellona now makes basic attacks with her hammer until out of combat. Every hammer attack hits all enemies in melee range. So that's kind of a lot of AoE damage for auto attacks.
It
Yeah,
does.
like- Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't say there's a cap on the amount of percentage that you can increase it by hitting the amount of enemies surrounding. So you could have 30% and you hit 2 people, right? That's 60% increase in damage. Yes?
Mm.
If
Or
you
you
hit,
hit all 5 and 150%.
yeah, onto a 310 hit with 60% of physical power, that is a whole bunch of damage. Like, what? That is crazy.
So what's that? We're looking at 620 plus another half of that. So that's like 800 plus her 60% of her physical power at the moment. So do not let her hit you with the hammer in the spin. Pretty much it. Yeah.
What were you saying, Topnotch? Sorry?
Well, I feel like there's just so much diversity to this whole kit. Like the whole idea behind having 3 different like stances, for lack of a better word, is just like either having cone attacks in your 2, like after your 2's ability is used, having the lifesteal from the after your 3rd ability is used. It's just a really cool like way of like bringing a new kind of class into the not necessarily class, like a new kind of play style into the whole meta with this new god.
It seems to be the recurring trend with the most recent gods is they have like really unique mechanics, like
Yeah.
Wheelix with her ultimate knocking, like grabbing people from a knock up.
Yep.
Like Nox's ultimate where people can't cast spells. There's sort of like different interactions required, and that makes it interesting. There's just more variety of stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
Is this something that you guys are all enjoying and seeing more of? Do you want to see more types of these interesting mechanics, or are they maybe potentially overdoing it a little bit at the moment?
I would say no. Like, it's great to see like all these new things. Like Ho Yi, his ricochet. Oh, that's so exciting to hit. Like,
Yeah.
if you bounce it off 2 walls and you hit the target, that's so satisfying. It's seeing all these different mechanics and diverse situational abilities coming in. It's so exciting to see.
What I think is really good is when there's gods that have a specific niche. In the sense of Bellona, yeah, she's going to be a good anti-physical. So what you want is like pick and bans to be less about who's the strongest and actually forming a strategy and a counter strategy. That's when it actually gets a lot more interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Then. Well, let's move along to the thing that seems to be making Bellona at the moment. Scourge is her number 3 ability. Bellona is going to be summoning a Scourge, dealing damage and obviously a ratio of her physical power as damage to all enemies in a line. Enemies hit are disarmed for a duration and cannot make basic attacks. Bellona now makes basic attacks with a Scourge until out of combat, which has extended range, which was currently at +4, and every 3rd attack heals Bellona for what seems to be a sizable amount as well. A cooldown of 18 seconds is a decent cooldown, and mana scaling from 70 up to 90 over the levels at the moment. So, I mean, you guys have already mentioned that this is probably her strongest sort of form or, ability to 1v1. This seems to be the best way to go.
I feel like bringing this whole new form of CC with the disarm now is just like it's just going to completely shock the meta once she's actually available for competitive play. Like the ability to use disarm on like a Loki or any hunter really is just going to actually change like late game team fights. You know, that's 3 seconds of not even being able to auto attack.
Yeah.
That's actually game changing.
Like, imagine against, say, like Osiris or Nemesis or Bakasura, and then every 80 carry. That's where she's going to be so strong and absolutely destroy them. With the passive, if they turn to try and deal damage, she'll catch up, she'll do her 3, disarm, and then destroy you in 3 seconds. That's
Blake has joined us.
Hi, Blake.
Hi, friend.
You finished
Shut
your
up.
League of Legends, you
did.
traitor.
Yeah. League just, oh my god, League's like way better than Smite. I just love it so much. No, not really.
Get out. Get out.
Sorry, alright, no. I'll stick around. I like Smite too.
Alright, finally turning on to her ultimate is going to be Eagle's Rally at this point in time, of course. Again, none of this is set in stone. Bellona plants a Roman flag, granting 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 protections and increased physical power by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 to allied gods for 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 seconds. Enemies directly under where the flag is placed will be taking damage with a ratio and will be stunned for a second. So this is a really, really strong AoE buff, but at the same time grants a stun. So this seems like it's going to be a really strong ability.
Oh yeah, definitely something for initiating. Like in Fire Giant, if you jump across the mid camps into Fire Giant, and then your whole team follows up, they get a buff, and then they can destroy the enemy team. That's where I feel it's going to be the strongest, is those objective controls, definitely in those team fights with that buff, and just absolutely destroying. And then it's quite hard to peel her off your carries with that passive, with her bludgeon as well.
Yeah.
Does that make you? Sorry.
Yeah, this whole thing just feels like this is it's like a version of an Isis ult, except with a stun and like more damage to everyone around you, which just seems absolutely ridiculous for like objective contention.
Has a lot of wombo synergy. I think that's one thing that Smite doesn't have a lot of. There isn't like huge wombo combos, whereas that's like a massive part of League of Legends is, you know, who has the best wombo. Whereas in Smite, there's kind of some now when you look at, you know, Fields of Love being really big in the meta now, combining that with like a Ymir or like a Hui or something.
Scylla.
Hades.
Yeah, Hades. Yeah, so
Hades,
there's a lot of potential now for like really sort of wombo focused comps. Like today, Feeds Are Us versus Evade, which were casted. They had a Fenrir and also the Ymir and Cupid, and it was just Ragnarok
insane.
would grab someone and they would just walk into a Fields of Love, get the mares, and the person would die. Or the same thing, like Ragnarok into the Shards of Ice, the Ymir ult. And it's really exciting seeing that sort of synergy. So I think that's something that we'll see a lot more of, you know, if there's more gods like this that are sort of have a lot of team focused synergy in them.
When you guys, obviously this one's a lot more focused towards Knightfall and Topnotch. When you guys are sort of looking to build a composition for somewhat of a competitive game, are you going to be more swayed towards something with a little bit more wombo if a few more of these gods are going to be coming out with something similar to Bellona's kit, something similar to Yumir's kit, you know, a little bit more CC with a little bit of damage topped on it, but you can add on to that by having more damage from your carry. Is that something that you guys are going to be looking to focus more on?
With a prevalence of like how strong hunters are late game, like your wombo combos only really work, like not to say they don't work later stages in the game, but I mean like they're only really as prevalent in like your early to mid stages where like jungle comes in for a gank, sets up your mid lane with like a wombo ult on top of the jungler's ult. Like those kind of things, yeah, like obviously you see them in the later stages of the game, but like the target for them is only really in the early mid stages of the game, in my opinion. So like
then everyone gets beads and magi's. So
yeah, exactly. Like by the point you're in late game, like you can't really have that as your only strategy going in for like a wombo combo because everyone's going to bead it, everyone's going to dash out. You know, it's just really hard to confirm those kind of wombo combos in the later stages.
Yeah. Which is I quite like about Smite is you have so many ways to get out of things so that you don't get destroyed. So it makes winning the game more about strategy than who's got the best wombo combo, which I quite like.
Means there's a lot more interaction and a lot more counterplay.
Yeah.
Because it's not just get stunned, get ulted, die. It's like get stunned, beads out of the ult, and then stun the other guy, but then he pops Desert Fury for the CC immunity, and then he leaps. There's like a lot more interaction going on. It's less one-sided, which makes the engagements a lot more exciting. That's why, like, I don't think lethality is the right word for it, but people don't die as easy in Smite because there's just more things you can do.
Yeah.
Whereas going back to League of Legends, again, this is sort of a background for us. We do a lot of casting. We have done a lot of casting in the past. Is like the whole, and Rankonius as well. The whole sort of play-by-play of team fights is, oh, he gets caught. There's the ult. This team fight is over within 3 seconds because this team landed their CC and that team didn't.
Yeah.
So that's not as exciting. It's all about positioning, which is obviously a big part of Smite.
And when you sort of combo the two against each other, what you've got to really look at is, say, somebody coming from a League of Legends background, as you've already mentioned that we sort of do, is that Cleanse is like the only CC removal apart from, there's one other item that can grant CC, well actually there's 2 items that can grant CC removal, but one of the roles is obviously support, and they're so strained for gold trying to get to other core items that generally, when you're looking at going for Mikhail's Crucible, which is the other CC removal item, that it's just not an option. So obviously CC means a lot more in League of Legends, because generally as well, in League of Legends, CC is generally, when you think of an Orianna Shockwave, it's attached to a lot more damage as well. And the ability to easily follow up with the way that the meta has evolved in League of Legends. The meta's not quite to that focus hard on towards CC sort of style in Smite. There's so many, you mentioned it, so many interactions and ways. You're constantly buying beads. Beads is a major item, and that does counter out the CC, you know? So the interactions, the diversity of the champion pool, and the diversity of how the different ways that cooldowns can be managed within a team fight is certainly making, in my personal opinion, and this is a large part of the reason why I want to transfer over to Smite rather than League of Legends, is that I've got counterplay all the time. As a player, I don't want to just walk up, have somebody point at me and go, right, you're targeted here, eat a CC, you're dead. Oh, look, I was the main damage source for my team. I'm now dead. I'm worth nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas in Smite, it's just like, oh, look, he's targeted with me CC. Do I burn beads now, or do I save it for the second chain of CC, which is going to be slightly stronger, and I will evade more damage? Do I burn it now, potentially avoid that engagement? I can kite around a little bit more. You know, there's a lot more thought process and a lot more diversity of the way that you can play out every single major situation within the game. And that, as a commentator, as a player, and as somebody who looks at these sort of things on a regular basis, makes it just a more interesting, more vibrant sort of game. And it makes, from a design point of view, when you look at what Hi-Rez are doing and the champions that they're coming out with, they've got more options for how they can go, because... Yeah, I'm kind of getting there. I'm getting there, because they've got more options from a design perspective to do things. Hey, do we nerf beads? No, beads is currently in an okay spot. Do we want to bring up maybe the durations on CC as well? Maybe, you know, they've got a lot more tuning points that they can really, really work with to make sure that the meta is in a place where it's fluid all the time based upon what's being picked. You're then going towards more counter matchups, more roam match, you know, whatever you need to do to counter out the
It's not just
meta.
beads, though. Like, there's also so many CC immune abilities. Like, Ares lands a chain, and then Sylvanas pops Wrath of Terror, Artemis pops Boar, and it's like, no one got hit by my ult. So, regardless of actives aside, there's just a lot of ways to avoid CC, which, again, makes it a lot more interesting. But then, do you want to trade your Wrath of Terror for the, you know, getting caught by Ares? There's that risk reward thing, so...
I think that's what separates, you know, good players from... like the really high tier players, is knowing when to blow your beads, knowing when to blow your ult, you know, knowing when to save things and use things later for aggression or defensively, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is another reason why I think Xbalanque is completely broken, because his 3-dash has CC immunity on it, whereas no other AD carry, I think, has that like on one of them 3 core abilities, not their ultimates. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, outside of an ultimate, having CC immunity is quite rare.
Especially on a hunter.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's obviously our PBS. Is it PBS?
PTS.
PTS. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm learning.
Yay!
Yeah.
Learning is fun.
I think while we're still sort of talking about that subject, I think what makes Smite really interesting is how actives have their own slot, and you build them during the game. Whereas with with League, it's like, oh, I'd love to get QSS, but that's one of my item slots. Or it's like, I'd love to get cleanse, but like, you have to pick your summoners before the game even starts. There's a lot more counterplay, not only in terms of a mechanical perspective, but also coming from a strategic itemization perspective. You can choose when you want the beads and how fast. Like, for example, if you're versing a Poseidon in the mid lane, you need Aegis, like, before level 5, or you're going to die to the Kraken. So it just makes it a lot more interesting because there's so many different options, and also, like, they're all viable, and they vary so much. If anyone's played League ever in their entire life, they'll see that people always get flash all the time, always.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is just
Always.
boring. Whereas is in Smite, like, you can say the same for beads, but the support never gets beads. The solo never gets beads. So there is a lot more diversity in terms of like what actives you want to go for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic. So, I mean, at this point, I would definitely say, do you guys have anything else you want to discuss on this sort of topic? Do you feel that there's maybe some of these tuning points need to be adjusted? Is beads too low a cost item? Should it potentially be going up because of the power of it early on? Should it make it more of a thought process? Should CC immunity be removed from Xpelonke because it's just without being on an ultimate, especially on a hunter, is it just too an important a stat to have prior to an ultimate? What do you guys think on these sorts of things?
Well, they already nerfed beads in Season 2. It used to also grant a 5-second cooldown reduction, but now it's only 3 seconds, so kind of nerfed. They also nerfed Aegis more so, I think, than beads.
What'd they do to that?
Aegis?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I don't know which one's which, Aegis or improved or whatever, but the greater Aegis, like the one that you can't move, you used to be able to use that through CC.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, say Thor would ult you with the Anvil of Dawn, you pop your beads even though you are stunned.
Yeah.
That no longer works. You have to, like, beads and then Aegis, or wait for the timeout. And then the other Aegis, the one where you can move, that used to grant damage reduction for X amount of seconds after it wore off. So now the trade-off is, do you want damage reduction or do you want the movement ability whilst Aegis? Where before it was, do you want to Aegis through CC or movement? But now that's what they nerfed Aegis.
Yeah. Which is good. There's something else in these patch notes coming up shortly is the Giannis. You used to be able to Aegis while falling through the portal, so you wouldn't take the damage from it. And by the time most Giannis's use the 2 ability while you're falling, so you just get rid of 2 of his abilities, which is pretty much 90% of all his damage, other than his ult, which you don't really use for damage.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. I definitely enjoy that discussion. I feel like that discussion is something we're probably going to come back to on regular occasion because it's definitely a large balance point in terms of Smite. So we're moving right along. Important patch stuff. Single match god rentals have been removed. I feel like this is directly targeted at more competitive play, being able to pick the right hero at the right time in the drafting phase. And
Wait, what?
I think that's actually targeted at newer players.
Yeah.
Being god rentals for people that don't have the god pack and things like that.
The thing is, I think everyone that takes Smite seriously has the ultimate god pack. Like every god ever for $35. So that's not really an issue. Because really, everyone that plays it consistently is going to have every god anyway.
This sort of stuff coming up isn't really impactful. I thought it was something just to note, something that's changed and will affect some people.
I think the biggest change in their affecting gameplay is the Giannis change, being that you can't Aegis while falling through his portal.
Yeah. Also, that the Ho-Yi dive bomb, you can now fly over like Kabrakan walls. That was kind of not fun. When you played Ho-Yi and you tried to fly out of his stupid ultimate, you just got stuck on nothing, and it sucked a lot. But you can now, which is awesome. So I quite like that a lot.
I think another interesting one, definitely for points of balance, is that Bluestone Pendant has been disabled for purchase in Assault. I think it's just granting too much power.
Yeah.
That item should just be removed from the game. That is such a strong item, dude.
It's going to be like Azir and Kassadin and stuff. There's going to be just like half a page worth on Bluestone Pendant every patch for a good while.
Not a mage in solo and not picking up Bluestone, like you're doing something wrong. That item is strong.
I think for balance is it's what do you nerf? Like you got to identify the issue. Yeah, X-Bile is overperforming, but do you nerf him or do you nerf Bluestone? Do you nerf what's making him OP or do you nerf him himself? That's kind of the hard part when balancing a game as complex as Smite.
Yeah.
And I mean,
they're doing a great job too. Like it's like you said, it's extremely hard to do, but they're doing really well, I think.
Yeah, it definitely get the feeling that Hi-Rez is trying to anticipate where the game is going and trying to patch ahead of time to go to that. But they're also learning along the way as they do that, and you see it with the information on with the way that they're making informed decisions about where the game should be going. It's not the same sort of terrible mistakes time and time again. They make a mistake and they're like, okay, we learned from that. We're not going to evolve the game so much in that direction the next time that we need to start thinking about that.
I like how they never really over-nerf or over-buff things. It's
Simple.
Hercules is overpowered. Let's slightly reduce his base damage and slightly reduce his passive. Like, him and Osiris, despite both being nerfed because they were top tier, are now still top tier.
Yeah.
We come from Game Combat Heroes 2, and this is going to be a fun one. The Relic, they're awful at balancing. It's like, when something is being underpowered, they nerf it like 4 times. So this unit sucks. Let's nerf its health, damage, rate of fire, accuracy, and suppression, and then it just becomes really, really overpowered because they over-buffed it, and they didn't do proper testing. And same with nerfing. If something's really overpowered, they'll nerf so many different areas that then combine to just making it absolute trash. Whereas, Hi-Rez, they seem to always be doing like sort of small baby changes when it comes to tweaking gods.
Which is definitely what you need to be doing. The smaller changes are better, and it is things you have to do. You have to see at a competitive level in order to know, what is good, what is bad. It's pretty hard to see from like a regular player perspective. You kind of have to balance for not only the entire game, like the whole player base, but also like the really high tier players. You have to make sure that the game is balanced at a really hyper competitive level. So that's something you have to see, as well as the patch has to come out, and then the pros have to get used to the patch, and then you have to see gameplay on that patch to work out, is this a good change, is this a bad change, do we need to make more changes, things like that. So yeah, I think Hi-Rez are doing a pretty damn good job of things overall, so fixing everything up.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I think that about covers that. I mean, there was definitely... it's just the nice little changes rather frequently. They're not... And it's affecting the health of the game and the game going forward at all times. The game always seems to be, when one hero, one god gets into this sort of overpowered role, they just sort of roll it into a nicer, but don't underperform it immediately. So somebody immediately on the next patch doesn't pick it and just feel useless just for picking that god. So
Balancing's also hard in MOBAs because a lot of it is perceived balance, like meta shifts. Like you can change something and it's only a very small nerf, but people think it's a huge deal. Oh, you can't play this person now. Like, I'm so sorry that we keep making League references, but they did a visual rework of Twitch.
Yeah.
And they didn't change the stats at all, like the exact same.
Nothing.
Yeah, it didn't change at all, but then he starts coming really, really top tier because everyone's playing him, and then as a result, ends up getting nerfed later on because he's overperforming or something. But it's not actually the change that made him popular. It's just perceived balance and the meta of people playing it, and that's the exact same in Smite.
Yeah, I think that actually happened. That's a very similar thing that happened along like when the Odyssey was on during Smite. Like the Mercury skin came out. Mercury became first pick, first ban for like 2-3 weeks, and then actually got nerfed on like his major look ability. Then like the Freya skin came out. Freya became played in every single competitive game, and then
Chrono 64.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like people favor what's like looking good at the moment, and like see pros playing and kind of want to do the same thing, whereas nothing actually changes within the god. It's just like how people are seeing it played amongst other players.
And with patching as well, it's not as simple as just, oh look, X champion is really overpowered, we just need to nerf them. As soon as you do that, because their nerf, their counter matchup, or something that they were interacting with in a healthy way suddenly becomes stronger because the counterbalance for them is no longer there. So it's something that they're educationally trying to, that they're making smart decisions about the way that they're controlling things. They're not just going, oh okay, X counters Y because of one move, and then all of a sudden that move becomes overpowered. They're just taking the edge off it just to a point where it's rather balanced in all scenarios, not over just wipe that ability off and then new champion becomes overpowered.
Like nerfing Quinn size to nerf Osiris, for example.
Yeah, exactly. They're just just chunking away at just little things. It's never sweeping change that just ruins the game by making somebody overpowered. Which is, I mean, when you look at other games, League of Legends has just sort of hit this funky state at the moment because it's just like no one really feels overpowered because they've nerfed everyone. That doesn't feel like that's happening with Smite and Hi-Rez. The changes they're making are a lot smarter.
Definitely.
Sorry, this is just like, this is coming from me because I'm just getting sick of League of Legends. I've actually had it.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So, and the way that the patching has been conducted within League of Legends has been poorly run. And coming from a community where you're seeing something like that on a daily basis, coming to Smite and seeing different changes and healthier changes and changes that are thought out of in advance is the crucial part. So, yeah. There we go. Finally got my gripe off my chest. Anyways, so Topnotch, an interesting thing that's affected you guys this week, and I believe we just had an interview on the Silicon channel about this one.
Will that be on YouTube, by the way?
That will be going on YouTube.
I'll link it. I'll find a link whenever that's up.
It'll be transferred over. The man Resonate that is in charge of all things Silicon is already on it.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
I was trying to work it out. I was like,
Resonate? What were you calling?
I thought it was just Resin 8. Like I didn't know you.
Resin.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like the thing you get from a tree.
And then an 8 on the end. Love it. Oh, I'm sure he's listening right now and kicking us. Anyway, yeah, the Trident versus Silicon game. Interesting result. Definitely from your perspective, and I mean, I've touched on this a bunch of times with you now. You thought you were definitely underdogs Top-Notch, but going in, you managed to claim out the win, and definitely happy. But you don't think it's going to be something that's going to be repeated. It's going to be, as well that we touched on in the interview, was that there are 3 or 4 teams at the moment that are at the top of the Oceanic scene that are all neck and neck, and results between them can go either way all the time. Are you enjoying that part of the scene at the moment as well?
Yeah, as I've said to you before, like, there's those top teams right now that are just ahead of the curve of everyone else, and like within those top teams, it's just so close. Like, there's no team that can kind of just say we're gonna beat this team. Like everyone that like amongst those top teams has to actually earn beating those other teams. Like we beat Trident in that game, but we really had to push to beat Trident in that game. And every game we go into against Trident from now on, we're gonna have to really work to it, put everything into it, study up as much as we did study up on Trident, work out what we can do against them, same against any other team. We're just going to have to, everyone has to put in as much as they can to beat all these top teams.
Do you think it's more mentality or like the pick and bans that affect the game?
I think, every aspect of Smite, is as important as the other aspects of the game. Like picks and bans are without a doubt crucial to how your game goes. You also need, confidence plays a big part in the game, as long as, general gameplay, strategy, and things like that. But going in with a mindset that you can beat that team is honestly, such a huge aspect of the game. If you're going in thinking that you just can't do it, you can't beat them, like you've lost the game already, in my opinion.
Knightfall, I mean, for you, and also being around this sort of realm of the top tier teams, are you enjoying the competition? Is it healthy competition? I mean, is there something that we could potentially do to improve the competition? Is it where you're happy with it? Is there something you want to see? Anything like that you're really experiencing at the moment?
Topnotch really sort of summed it up there with the mentality thing. Like everyone knows they know they're good, but no one thinks they're the best. Because if you think you're the best, then you're not going to improve. So even at the top tier teams like you, Topnotch and Silicon, you don't think you're the best. So you're just going to keep getting better. And that's what I really like, is everyone's just going to keep getting better, and there's going to be a gradual increase or a rapid increase in skill level and everything. I like the way it is, and I like the way where it's going to. I like where it's going to.
I think the amount of respect like in game amongst teams is just like so prevalent right now. I don't know if people had watched the Silicon vs Trident game, but like there was a solid 10 minutes of just dancing around Fire Giant because everyone was like, no one wanted to make that mistake of making that bad play, initiating incorrectly or something like that. There was just so much respect between those two teams. We just like, you know, everyone knows how good everyone is, and you just can't get away with certain things you could get away with in other games.
Yeah.
I think what the scene really needs is to try and close the gap between the top three teams and then sort of the other teams below, because that can be a problem for a lot of reasons. Again, it's sort of the mentality that, oh, we can't beat Silicon, what's the point? Topnotch is going to spank us in lane, you know, we shouldn't even try.
That never happens.
Yeah, or like, and for tournaments as well, like, it really ruins the fun of tournaments if it's like, this team's going to lose, this team's going to lose, oh, this would be a fun game. Like, it should be more hype. Every game should be exciting, every game should be fun. And that's from, you know, my own personal perspective of casting, but I mean, from a player, you know, it's, you know, you don't really want to compete in a tournament if you're just going to get spanked by the top teams. So that's sort of what I want to try and do with Smart Sunday Scrims, is have it less about the top teams, because we see those in Cybergamer, we see the top teams in Scrims, but like by just having this focus on the mid-tier teams, having them, you know, feel important and feel cool, getting streamed, getting gem prizing and stuff, it makes more teams want to practice, get involved, and then grow with the rest of the teams. Because if we have more even teams, then the tournament's going to be more interesting, and the more tournaments, the more practice. You know, the higher the skill increase of all the teams. But if it's only the top teams, then you know the events and tournaments just won't be very exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that is definitely, from the Silicon's perspective, something that Notch, I believe it was you that actually come up with the idea. We're potentially looking at running a tournament where we say, okay, the top 6 teams on the Cybergamer ladder just aren't allowed to enter whatsoever. Maybe potentially me and Notch are going to cast, or, you know, whatever we're going to do. And then the winner out of that is also going to receive some coaching from the guys on the team.
Cool.
And, you know, look at expanding, because as well, everyone benefits from every other team getting better. It's not just about the one team. It's not a one-team scene. It's never going to be a one-team scene, no matter how good the best team is compared to the rest of the teams. It's always going to be about the scene as a whole. And that's the important part, and that's the important mindset. And right now, that mindset is definitely prevalent throughout the community, and it's fantastic to see. You know, coming from the League... Again, we're going to go back to the League of Legends community, I know. But the League of Legends community are toxic. All the teams treat each other terribly. You jump into Twitch chat. They're running the Oceanic Pro League right now. You see them in Twitch chat. All the other teams that aren't playing at that particular time are in there increasing the toxicity of the chat. That does not work in favor of the scene at any stage.
No.
Right? The way the teams treat each other, the way the teams treat each other in solo queue, just everything that goes on between these teams is just terrible for people to see, because it's then taken as a... as kind of like a precedent, and everyone watches this and is just like, oh, look what they're doing. Okay, now we'll do it.
Yeah, it's like the big brother, the little brother learns from the big brother sort of thing. They like the top teams are the role models, and if they're acting toxic, then the rest of the community will follow.
Yeah, I think we have a nice thing going on. Like you know, I myself stream and have a lot of like newer players coming in and asking me for advice about the game. I like to think that I do actually help them in that regards, and I'm quite approachable. And these have like you have Temple Wolf streaming, very laid back guy, very helpful to all the newer players. You know, it's quite nice to be able to, you know, come in, see the top players streaming, and just ask them for advice about how to play the game, and just happily be given it by like the top
How do
level
I go
players.
forward if I'm not salty enough?
Yeah,
How,
that's
how do I
right.
work on that?
You can't play with that salt. Like, what's the point?
And going back to
Oh.
what you were saying about a team like the mid-tier teams getting up to those high-tier teams, I really feel like Feeds Are Us are improving by a marginal gap. When we saw them, say about a month ago, they were quite uncoordinated. It didn't seem like the team were like relying on each other enough. But now, seeing them on Sunday scrims before, they were playing so well together. They were so coordinated, and that's really what I like to see, is a team evolving. It's great.
Yeah, I've actually got that game open in my tabs right now. I'm about halfway through. But, like I remember playing against that team maybe like a month and a half ago. Maybe, I'm probably wrong about it. It's probably like a month ago. But like the improvement that they've made between then and now it's phenomenal. You know, like the amount of difference you can make just by scrimming together, playing constantly and not giving up. You know, just no matter how demoralized you get, you just keep playing and playing. You're only going to get better and better.
Yeah, it was pretty huge today. I mean, like, their ultimate synergy was ridiculous. Their buff timers were just 100% because they spent the entire game of Sunday Scrims just stealing buffs. Just 100%. If they took a buff, they would be there for the respawn.
How many hogs, Blake? How many hogs?
How many hogs? They had 4 hogs. 4 hogs, and they made the 4 hogs work. They took all of their jungle camps, and they probably took about 60 to 80% of Evade's jungle camps as well. It was just huge. As soon as they took a camp, they'd all be there ready to support. They'd take the next camp as it spawned up again.
Got kills on the
They
camps.
got kills on the camps, and it was insane. The synergy was perfect. I mean, they even picked them up on like 2 small ultimate things they did wrong, but like it was just overall their team synergy was just fantastic. That was where they needed to be. Their ultimate synergy was really good. It was just really good communication. It was cool to see. Actually, it was a really fun cast.
4 hogs should have done level 1 Gold Fury.
4 hogs, man.
I think one thing that separates, that helps grow teams, I guess is a better way of putting it, is actually having an analyst. And those mid-tier teams aren't going to have an analyst. Because to have an analyst, they have to be really, really good at the game. And the people that are really, really good are playing in the top teams. Whereas I know Silicon has Taddy, I'm sure Trident and Insight have their analysts as well. And it's really crucial to have someone that's objective, because if you try and be constructive as a team, that's when things can get a bit tense, because you're like, oh, well, you didn't do this. You didn't do this either. And it's like, yeah, I know, but like, whereas if you have someone third party criticizing and giving feedback, you can't really like argue with that.
Yeah, that's right. I think like exactly on your point there. Like I think people overlook how important a coach can be, like that outside perspective telling you an unbiased point of view, telling you what you did wrong, what you could be doing in this situation, and like why what you're doing is wrong is just so important. And just being able to listen to them with that respect, that you know what they're talking about is correct. Like I know Silicon, we actually brought in, we have a coach now from an old NA team from Resist Gaming, and like he's changed that play drastically. Just looking at our gameplay videos, telling us what we did wrong, straight up. You know what he's talking about is true, and just like you can only go so far criticizing yourselves before you get that outside point of view that just lays it out perfectly for you.
Mm.
You can't trust us to give you criticism and feedback because we're noobs.
Smart champions.
What is a
There
god?
needs to be like a swear jar, but every time we say champion instead of god, we just like put $1 in it. So
Oh, I'm gonna start a counter right now.
we can like
Oh,
invest
God.
in like gems for prizes or something.
Oh, well, actually, this is a perfect segue into our next topic. Who would use a community TeamSpeak server, and how would we pay for it? Swear jar. Yep. But seriously though, community TeamSpeak is a fantastic idea, and there are multiple points for this one. It's a lot easier to set up scrims when you're sitting in there. Say some of your potential scrim partner, for whatever reason, Topnotch and his boys suddenly can't make a scrim. Insight can go onto the TeamSpeak, they can find another team that's just sort of hanging around, and they can say, hey, would you guys like to scrim instead? Finding people to play with. I know a big thing that drags me into games, and a large part of the reason I'm actually starting to get back into Terra as the game is because I have people to play with now. And that's something I've always wanted with games. I've played very little Smite of late just because I haven't been able to A, find the time, and then B, whenever I do find the time, there's not many people to play with. so they'll go and play a game of League where I know I'll have people to play with instead. You know, so there's a bunch of reasons like this that I could just keep on going and going and going. It's a good fallback for comms. Say Curse goes down someday. You know, something like that.
And
there is limitless reasons. Knightfall, you had something to say?
Just expanding on like the whole friends thing. Like I myself, I got into Smite in closed beta, but I didn't really have anyone to play with, so I just went on and off, just like playing when I felt like it. But then I'd always fall back on League. But now that Oceanic servers are out, like it's so much easier to make friends, and with the TeamSpeak, people who don't know people already in the community, new people to the community can come and find people to play with so easily and talk with them. Say, like Curse, you have to have the friend added. But if you don't know the person in the first place, how do you add them, right? But if you have this hub of where everyone is, you could just come and join it. You can make friends easy. That's what I really like about the idea.
And another good part about it is, like, there can be personalities. Topnotch could be hanging out there all the time. I could be there. You know, you guys from General's Gentleman, you can just be there. And people can just come up to us and just go, hey, you're really cool. How do you stream? What are your microphones? You know, and that sort of interaction, both for us and for you, is fantastic. I love, you know, a large part of the reason that I actually got into esports and this sort of side of things was just to give the community something back. I got a lot out of League of Legends because it got me through one of the roughest periods of my life. I wanted to give something back to the game. And that's how I was able to do it. I don't know, for you guys, what do you guys sort of enjoy about the fan interaction?
Well, that's what Twitch is like. Whenever you're in a stream, you're like, hey, Killage, and he's like, hey, Callum, how you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well, man. We just had this breakfast cereal, and just, I don't know, something stupid like that. And then everyone's saying hi, and like, it just... Like, if you're not doing anything, even if you're not really watching the stream, you just sort of just be in the Twitch chat just to talk to people. And it's, you know, it's fun, it's cool, it's upbeat.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's the interaction. Rather than a person playing and you watching them just play the game, you being able to talk to that person and them respond is it's so much better than just watching.
Especially when they're
the person.
pros. Like, I had Ataraxia say hi to me once, and I was like, oh my gosh, Ataraxia!
I did that too. We were both in that same stream,
Yeah, we
right?
were.
Yeah, we were like, oh my god.
Yes.
We're like fangirling over Ataraxia because he's
amazing.
He's awesome.
And rich.
Yeah.
Big winner out of, yes, the World Championships. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you guys have come up with this week that you would like to chat about at all? What should we
Very open
rename the
question.
podcast?
Yeah, that's the thing. To all our viewers who were not in at the beginning of the podcast, if you come up with a name, we will find you... If you come up with a name and we choose it, we will reward you with gems, and you will get... What's the word? You will
Our everlasting
shout
love
out.
and attention.
That's the thing. Yes.
Who's paying for that?
All of us. Let's all
yeah.
chip
Are
in.
we?
Knight's got $1. I've got a phone here with a cracked screen.
We can all pitch in.
I have my
Can we-
body.
Oh,
A date with
Looks like-
Topnotch. That's
Yeah,
what
I'll
you
take
want.
that.
Yes!
Maybe like
We're
salt for
gonna be
dinner.
rich. Cool.
can I have cookies? Cookies! Let's pay with cookies.
Yes. Definitely. But yeah, if you come up with a name, that would be great. We will reward you accordingly. Give credit where credit is due and all that stuff. Cool.
Okay, so River Song is definitely a way to find us a name. But other than that, I mean, I've definitely had fun today. Have you guys had fun, first of all?
I've
Oh,
had
God.
fun.
I didn't until just then.
Blake, you
I think-
were enjoying some other game. No idea what it is.
Oh man, I enjoyed Smite. Smite's the best.
Yeah.
100% guarantee.
The issue for Smite, the matchmaker is awful.
Oh, God.
And not only is it just, oh, this isn't fun, it's I'm not going to play this game ever again. Because you're having completely fresh new players get like laned up against a Diamond Kronos and a Diamond Odin. And like Blake can't carry that.
I can't.
He can't
Doesn't
carry
work
that.
like that, man. Yeah.
Carry
And
hop.
yeah,
Back to
and
the
it,
field.
I can get all the gold furies, man, but I can't beat that lane. Like,
Yeah. And I think that's really preventing people from getting
It
into
is,
Smite
yeah.
is, oh, let's play Conquest, get completely spanked, because of just how broken the matchmaking is. And so
it's
not
a
only
huge barrier to entry.
yeah, exactly. Not only is it ruining their time, it's also ruining everyone else's time because they're playing with someone new, and then it just so many 10-minute surrenders. It really kind of makes it hard to actually enjoy playing it.
It's so rare to get a match where it's a challenge to win the game. Because so many times, like you said, it's either a stomp or you get stomped. It's one of those two.
Yeah, so many 10-minute surrenders.
Too often.
I'm glad there is a 10-minute surrender, but like I think I stand for all of us here when I say I'd rather wait twice as long to get a game, but then actually have a good game.
Yeah.
Because like you just leave it searching, and then you just minimize and check your Facebook, and then 10 minutes later got a game. Cool. And then you have a decent game. Whereas like the matchmaking, you get a game in like 2 or 3 minutes, but then it's just completely unbalanced. I guess I think it would have been like that originally, but then didn't they change it so it was less sensitive, so getting games more often because people complained about it?
I think so.
Like, you guys been playing it for a while?
Yeah, because they used to have timed queues, and those were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't understand, but like when they had timed queues, it was actually better than having non-timed queues, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Because everyone complained about timed queues, and then when we got the new thing, everyone complained about that too, which it's kind of contradictory, but like.
I think people will just complain no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that, as someone pointed out in the chat, is that it's because it's a new server and there isn't a lot of people. And whilst yes, that is a part of it, again, I'd rather wait longer, have the matchmaking less sensitive, and then just make sure the games are actually better.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're all complaining from this top level perspective, where it's like, man, it sucks having bads on our team. But when you're that new player and you don't really know what you're doing, and the people that just completely demolish you,
it's not fun for both parties.
That's right. Especially then people get a bit BM and stuff. So I think that's why so many people just play arena and stuff, because you don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah. And then you're out of the game really quickly as well.
Yeah.
And it's a good path to picking up the game for newer people as well.
Yeah. It really teaches the mechanics really well, which is good. But yeah, it just seems like it's... The Australian servers are in that stage. Like, we weren't in that stage, now we are. But then I think we'll move out of it eventually. Either they'll do something about it or more people will come and play.
Yeah.
I think
one of those two options.
As soon as we start getting towards the LAN phase, where we're starting to get a lot of high traffic events and things like that, where we're going to have big displays, maybe shoutcasters going on, and just general press coverage, I think that's going to be an important part as well. Because at some point, somebody from some tabloid is going to pick it up and run with it because we have that direct seed to the World Championships. It's going to happen at that point.
But then at the same time, will it fix the problem, or will those new players only get turned off because the matchmaking is bad, and then they go back to playing arena? I think what would be good as well, like maybe if how you can't play Conquest until you hit level 5, like maybe you couldn't play Conquest until you hit level 10, just so the players are slightly more experienced, or like a really thorough Conquest tutorial, because the Conquest tutorial is pretty vague.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding that a problem. Yeah, but anyway. Alright, I think that about solidly wraps us up for this week. If you've enjoyed everything you've seen here, Knightfall, where can we find all the details to rewatch the VODs, copy out any sections that we've greatly enjoyed, anything like that?
So, I will upload this to YouTube while I find my own channel. Just one moment. You can find the VOD of that here. I would definitely check it out, because there was some interesting things that happened in the pre-show that won't be seen on stream. So definitely go and check that out. Yeah, and also follow the stream here, subscribe on YouTube, and what about you guys? Where can these guys follow you guys? Twitters, streams?
I think the general's gentleman. Give us content, guys.
All right, plugs. Well, you're asking for it. You want us to plug? Okay, well, I have a few things that I kind of wanted to plug. I'm surprised we're kind of wrapping this up already. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Smart Sunday Screams, shout out to Feeds Are Us for picking up the game against Evade, or games, pluralizing that one. So Smite Sunday Scrims, if you haven't heard about it, it's basically a weekly scrim event where sort of mid and low tier teams will be matched up against similarly matched teams and played on live stream in a best of 3 series with gem prizing coming from Surprise Attack, which is pretty cool. So if you want to sign up your team, it's a good way to practice, again, because not only are you scrimming, you're also scrimming to viewers, and people will watch that, people will see your team, people are like, hey, we should scrim sometime. It's a good way to really get involved with the scene. And it's not going to be like a situation where you're just versing really good teams, because we do try and match the team similarly. So that's the Google form, sign your team up. And basically then I contact the teams and we organize a game every Sunday at 2 p.m. Good stuff. This is like the details, sort of talking about what's going on with it. As for us, we do lots of shoutcasting for Smite. So, like, we'll be posting a lot of videos there. Like, for example, the Feeds Are Us Evade game will be on there. We also casted Runeforge versus Feeds Are Us, which will be on YouTube eventually as well. So if you want to follow all the Smite content, it seems to generally be where all the Smite VODs are, because whenever Knightfall and I cast, it always goes on my channel because I'm selfish.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a
my
selfish
channel.
boy.
So that's pretty much the place to go for Smite stuff.
He didn't even ask. He just went ahead and did it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fine. Let's go. I'm just kidding.
Don't make me play the sub game Nightfall.
Oh god. We're not doing this. Continue with your plugs.
That was it, I think.
Oh,
I mean,
you
I
ended?
mean,
Cool.
if you really wanted to, I mean, you could go ahead and like the General's Gentleman Facebook page,
Oh,
but you're gonna get
there
spammed
it
with like
is.
Company of Heroes 2 and 0-hour videos, like pretty much.
Okay, so that's one down. 2 more.
Topnotch.
Basically, you can follow me on any of the things that are linked. I can't even. I
Oh,
can't
hang
even
on,
post
hang on.
links.
Let me permit
Can't even
you.
post links. Well, anyway,
Oh.
I have my Twitch channel, which I will link when I'm permitted, which has my links to my Facebook, Twitter, Silicon's Facebook, and pretty much anything necessary to contact the Topnotch.
The top notch.
The Topnotch.
I can't
Cannot
even say your
post
name
links.
properly. Jesus.
Cannot
I'm
post
trying to
links.
plug for you.
Thanks, bro.
The saltiest.
But yeah, I stream pretty much every day and get angry, and it's cool. So
He's
Yeah.
pretty
I think
good
that's one thing
streamer.
that would really help the scene as well is just having more active people, you know, more streams, which is something I've noticing a lot lately. There's been heaps of new streamers, which is really cool. It makes the scene just feel
definitely.
more lively, more active. And I think the thing that we do really, really lack is like YouTube content. Like if we had more people doing like guides, like, hey, I'm Topnotch and this is my guide for playing Shark or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
funny
Or
that
like-
you say that.
Tier
'Cause,
only.
Me and Maxon are actually starting up doing.
That's awesome. That's really
Me
good.
and Maxon are going to start doing jungle guides. I was going to start
Cool.
doing specific god solo lane guides and things like that.
Oh,
so
wow.
that actually will be happening in the very near future.
Make sure
That's
you
awesome.
definitely make an MLG guide.
Yeah. Because whilst there's obviously no shortage of those sort of guides from pro players, it's a lot cooler when it's from local people that you actually know and can talk to. It just makes it a lot more relative.
Yeah, definitely.
And like written articles and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Such as, what were you working on? Machine?
Oh, dude. My Why
Why
Smite is
Smite.
awesome video.
This is- yeah.
For those of you that follow my YouTube, which is none of you, I've been for a few games. Like my most successful video of all time, Why Company of Heroes 2 was awesome. 50,000 views.
We got there, did we?
Yeah.
Don't know, probably not.
Basically, it's like a really sort of like, I dare say, for lack of a better word, academic, but like a really fancy professional sounding sort of like opinion, like really analyzing, really sort of having a deep look at it. Not just being like, it's really fun to play. Like let's go ahead and we'll have a little teaser. Do you want to do that? Do we want to get a little
Shall
sample?
We do that? Let's do
Alright.
that.
God,
It's,
this is gonna be great.
It's like a documentary. It's
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I think I showed Nightfall it.
Yeah.
And also the big part of his editing, like the past few days, whenever Blake's been over, we've just been recording us playing Smite just for footage. So we can piece together things, and we had to lab some things yesterday. Like, oh, attack me now. Okay. No, you use your ultimate. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, you killed me. That sort of thing. I'm trying to open it up. Why Smite is awesome. Okay.
I'm
This
still
is
got it.
exclusive.
All right, here we go. So let's have a bit of a sample. Speaking of toxicity, which is sort of a recurring theme for our podcast, it seems, is Smite is a far less toxic game than other MOBAs. And I'm not just saying that it's because it happens to be a better community. I think there's a few key components in Smite that directly result in a more positive experience. Firstly is the voice guidance system, or VGS as it's known. It's basically a quick chat system that is so efficient that it practically removes any need for actual in-game chat. By just pressing 3 or 4 keystrokes, you can instantaneously have access to a huge list of voice commands to really say anything you'd need. Whether it be to call your lane opponent missing, or you're going to gank a lane, or to tell someone you need to take a jungle buff. This is obviously very valuable for team communication and coordination, which already helps reduce toxicity. But it also means you'll see less negativity or abuse in the games, since players don't bother to use in-game chat. Even if players are getting really frustrated, you rarely ever see it. Like, so forth. I think that's sort of an excerpt. But yeah, I think, like, not having chat, because in League, like, someone dies, and it's like, why didn't you follow me in? I thought you were going to disengage. Why didn't you ult? Like, in Smite, it's just like, retreat, okay. And you retreated, and no one died.
Yeah.
And then
But
also, like, even when people are butthurt, even when people are really mad, the BMing in Smite is you rock, you rock, you rock, you
Yeah.
rock. The BMing in League is what the fuck, man? Why didn't you gank my... Like, you know, it's...
Yeah.
People just don't bother talking. People just don't bother being toxic because you're only using VGS. And there's no VGS to BM unless you've got the ISIS voice pack, in which case you rock sounds like you suck. You suck.
Because she's a
Anyone?
vampire? Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
it
like...
sounds like, yeah, weird accent.
Yeah, mind blown.
Anyway, that's me done.
So definitely check out their channel. They're gonna make some awesome.
It'll take a long time, dude. All the editing
things.
is going to be
Will it?
painful.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I mean,
a work in progress.
Because the point of it is to, like, have, you know, all of the video actually showing all of what I'm talking about as it happens. So that, like, editing that and finding the footage is pretty tedious. Anyway.
There you go.
Yes.
Just a little insight into the Generals, gentlemen, and how they operate. I've been privileged to see some of their work in the past. I always watch, like, the Company of Heroes YouTube videos you throw on your Facebook page.
Really?
Like, some of their stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't play the game, but I'm really interested in strategy games, and it's just fantastic to see some of their content.
At least, like, Comedy Heroes 2 is pretty intuitive. It's like tank shooting, person, die. Whereas with MOBAs, you can't really watch a MOBA unless you know how the game works. Because it's just, like, pretty colors and stuff. I don't know what's
Guy
happening.
that has shield like sun bashes other person, and suddenly she's dazzled.
Yeah.
Wow,
I
that was.
don't get that reference.
You don't want to get the reference.
Is that
It's
legal
pretty-
reference? Is that
It's pretty lame.
$1 in the jar rank.
Okay, just know that terrible puns are my thing. Okay, before we get involved. Yeah, I think Knightfall.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
you
it my
can-
turn to plug?
Last.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this stream that you're currently watching now. I'll also put that in the YouTube description. Also, follow me on Twitter at Knightfall. The A is a 4, capital K. I don't think that matters though. Also on Facebook, if you're not already, check out this group here. This is where basically everything happens. Is Smite Oceania, Australia, New Zealand Smite group. It's basically where everything happens. Definitely check it out. Also check out my page, Smite OCE. Give it a like. That'd be awesome. There you go. Cool. I think that's me done. Thanks very much, guys.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm the only one left, guys. If you
Yes.
have enjoyed any of the sick, sexy, hosting, powerful... I'm gonna stop. Twitch. Not Twitch. I don't stream anymore. I don't have the internet to stream. If you're on Twitter, at Rankonius is the tag. If you're on Facebook, it should be facebook.com/Rankonius. Hey, look! You're fantastic. I love you. But other than that, yeah, join into obviously the Facebook group to keep up to date with everything Smite Oceania, from all your Cybergamer ladder action to these guys, the Generals Gentlemen, telling you about what is going on the Smite Sunday scrims, how to sign up, everything funky chats, anything like that, it all goes down right there, and that is the only place, except for the Reddit, that you need to be a part of.
Oh, that's another
Other
thing.
than that, if you can follow facebook.com/Silicon Sports as well, that is obviously the team and organization that Topnotch and myself are a part of, and it's Silicon Sports again on Twitter. So keep up to date with all that sort of stuff. Then that is how obviously we get our information about what we're up to out there. And yeah, that's about it. I think that's probably, we've covered about everything tonight. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I
I
really
think we
like
spent more
this.
time plugging than we actually did talking. Let's be honest.
We'll see how long.
An hour of plugs.
Yeah.
Limiting you guys to like 30 seconds of plugs next week.
Three plugs each from now on.
Aw.
Alright guys,
Yeah.
Okay.
from
There's two
all
of
of
us,
us here on the whatever we rename this podcast to next week, we will be wishing you the very best in your Smite weekend, and it's time to say it. Goodbye for now, but not forever.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well,
Do you like my new
professionalized as
shirt?
in take out swear word.
See, look at this. Look. I'm just wearing like casual shorts.
That delay.
Don't show the stream. Don't ruin the magic. Well,
I
yeah,
thought
these
you.
guys
I
got-
thought you were a professional until you did that.
I'm a professional.
I feel
Don't
like
worry.
I've like ruined everything by just wearing the most lax shirt in the world.
Don't worry, it's Goku. He's like the god of all gods.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Finally.
it. Fucking lax, boy.
Nice, man.
If you did that on stream, that would be awesome.
We should have done it like just before it closed off.